In this video, I want to tell you some ways that I used to actually look taller, not just these stupid things that I found on the internet, but things that actually show you in somebody else's eyes that you look taller in their mind's eye. The first tip is actually great fitting clothes. Now, your clothes don't have to fit perfect, as almost none of mine do. However, when you have good fitting clothes, it's like that optical illusions you may or may not have seen where there's an item and then there's smaller items around it. That item looks bigger versus if that same dot or item has a bunch of larger things around it, it looks smaller. The same applies with your clothing. And if we take that theory and put it into the clothes you wear with sleeve length and fit in general, you're going to be better off. For example, here, I just cuff my sleeve back so that it doesn't look too baggy and make my arm look smaller. Now, this particular sweater does fit okay if I don't cuff it back, but I have found that it looks a little bit better if I do make the sleeve proportional to my body. And this applies to jewelry as well. So I make sure that I don't have oversized jewelry. I make things that fit. And for me, at my size, I have found my watches like the G-Shocks. The Speedmaster is good for my 6.5 inch wrist, or the Daytona is perfect, which I'll wear today. One of the particular things that a lot of men do with their poor fit is they have really scrunchy ankles. It's like way too long. They don't get any tailored ever. They have the waist of the shirt way too long here. And it all adds up. Like, you can have one thing perfect, but if the others don't have the same proportions, you're really gonna set yourself up for, you know, a really weird look. So it's really important to get all of the proportions to match. Now, another thing I've noticed that is really often overlooked is posture. I have a video on posture, how to fix your posture instantly, which I do recommend. Posture is one of those things that doesn't just have a visual side to it, it has an energetic and like a feel to it. With somebody who has bad posture isn't practicing good posture, it's almost as if they feel weak to be around, and it doesn't feel good to the person. Now, a lot of you are interested in dating more and being more attractive, and I have to say, posture is something that has a real big bang for its buck if you work on it. And of course, talking about the body, being in better shape is obviously going to make you look thinner and better, because the proportions of a healthy body, they're slimmer and taller looking, right? So you're not square. Like, I'm very square right now. I always laugh, I look like SpongeBob SquarePants when I'm not in my perfect shape. This is like my resting shape, where I'm just like winter mode, you know? And when I am thinner, when I've lost, say, about 15 pounds, of course, I'm not gonna be as wide, so it's gonna be skinnier, you know? It's gonna be more taller. I don't wanna understate the value of this in any way just by passively talking about it, because a lot of people don't really understand the difference between their body and 15, 20, 25 pounds lighter. A lot of people don't get that. They just kind of maybe remember. But the visuals of being skinnier and the clothes, how they fit, how they drape, is very significant. I just wanted to hammer this down because it really does a lot for your looks. Another thing I've noticed, and some people will disagree with me, but I truly believe that having shorter hair actually makes you look taller. Now, I'm saying I have about short hair, medium length hair, so it's about that long. It's nothing too crazy, but it is on the shorter side. And even when it's shorter, I found it's kind of similar to being in shape, where the proportions tend to add up to your whole body. So just like how when you're fit, you're not as wide. And of course, when your hair isn't over here like this, in this silhouette, then it's going to add up to another element. So if your clothes are fitting, great posture, haircut, tailored, everything, it really adds up. And the total look becomes more than the sum of its parts. And as far as styling goes, for me, just a side note, I just push it back with my hands, just like that, and then I push it forward. That's pretty much all I do. And it goes with the same theories. I try to make it shorter, skinnier. So push it in and push up. Now, as far as colors and stuff like that, you'll notice if you have a top that is brighter, your eye is going to be drawn up more so than if you had it in reverse, right? So if you had, you know, khaki pants and a black shirt, you're going to look a little bit that shorter because eye is generally going to be going to the brightest area. It's just kind of like the way that the brain works. Black, darks recede, where brights, you know, get pushed forward. So something like this, where it's brighter on top, is going to make your eye kind of always be drawn upwards. One more thing to add about the tops. If you do have vertical patterns, which you've heard, I'm sure, 1,000 times over, that's good, but it can also be things like this, where it just has a certain amount of verticalness. It's not promoting left and right. It's very, very up and down in the details. And that really, really helps. It just adds that layer as one more thing that adds up. The next tip is not about looking taller. It's actually about doing something that makes you taller. And I used to be really, really into boots, and that's because they have a heel on them. And you know, a lot of short men I've noticed don't have a rugged style. They have a style that is a little more vanilla. It's very shoes, sneakery, and that's good, but you know, there's nothing like a good boot. I own 2 pairs of boots. I have my Thursday boots and these Red Wings. I highly recommend investing in a good pair of boots. They'll last you a lot longer. They're more comfortable. They break in. They're Goodyear welted, so you can repair the soles. Everything about a good boot. But as far as looking taller goes, you're gonna be taller. You're gonna be like an inch, inch and a half taller, absolutely. You know, it's really nice, I gotta say. Being taller, even by an inch more, it's pretty solid. I still wish I was taller. Even though I've come to grips with being short, being tall is, even by an inch, a lot of people don't know how good they have it. But that's okay, because there's a lot of things that short men have that tall people don't have. Another video for you.
I do want to mention that if you are really struggling with confidence and being short, I am offering mentorship, either single session or monthly. If that interests you, back to the video.
Inside my closet here is a jacket that I suggest getting rid of and throwing out altogether for short men, and it's a puffer jacket. It's one of these that has these puffiness, and I'm going to put it on for you to show you that instantly it's going to make me look shorter, because it's going to make me look wider, not because of how it is, but it just kind of, it rounds me out. It gets rid of the edges. So if you notice, even if I'm not in my most cut shape and condition as a body, the jacket itself, it rounds the edges. There's no shape necessarily to it. Although this one fits pretty well when I am in shape, if I'm flexing and it's like a little more like that, it's fine. But for the most part, a better jacket is one that doesn't have such roundness to it. So something like my Canada Goose jacket, it has a lot of shape to it. It's one of the best winter coats I've ever had on and bought. Absolutely worth the price. But there's a lot of shape to it because it's a better construction, better tailor. Everything about it is just more cut. It's more complementary in every way possible. So I highly recommend when it comes to jackets, something that really helps your shoulders. And I do recommend darker jackets because another tip is to always dress from light to dark in your layers. So your bottommost layer would be white, then gray, then black, for example. And this is luminosity. You can play with optics as far as like color, but that can be tricky. I would always suggest light to dark because what happens is it gives you this block of skinny brightness in the middle. As you can see here, it just kind of, it's your eye tracks and then the rest blend out. So versus this, it's much more blocky, skinny, it goes up. Nice little trick. That's why suit jackets and suits and all that stuff look so good. Now let's take a beat to talk about scarves, because scarves are going to make you look taller for sure. And if you are already tall, they're gonna make you super powerful. The scarf is a very underrated power move, I believe. And I'm gonna show you why. So, I mean, a regular medium to thicker scarf. So I put this on. What this is gonna do is just gonna really beef up the shoulders, kind of like as if I had huge traps. So if I take off the coat and you look at the shape of my neck, a really beefy neck is one of like a large person, a strong man, right? So something like this is gonna be, it's like diesel. So the silhouette is like huge traps, huge neck, which is something that a lot of people don't train enough. But if you want to look larger, you should definitely work out your neck, do some neck exercises and stuff like that. Add that into your repertoire. It's definitely gonna make you look more strong and taller because of the silhouette. Versus this, and with my beard also adds to the size, but you can see it's skinnier. It doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't feel the same as like the beefiness of a scarf. It adds so much power to it, as you can see. So those are my top tips for looking taller. And if you want to know some more tips about height stuff or insights, I'd love to share it with you. It's really important to me to say as well that the way I really think about being short or looking taller, although I like being and looking taller, I've come to grips and don't have a problem with being short, finally, in life. And if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about that, let me know. And until next time, cheers.